what did you make of the fact that on Monday Night Football, the two hold-ins, the guy on the road showed up and the guy at home didn't? What do you think? What is that?
Well, with Trey Hendrickson, he's done that. He's been at practice. He's been giving pointers to Shamar Stewart and being an active participant in everything that does not involve actually practicing. I know that he had an extensive conversation with Duke Tobin. We saw clips of that on the field in pregame. But to my understanding, nothing has changed. It's the same spot, Rich. We talk about it every week. They've had the big numbers in place. I know he confirmed that to Laura Rutledge, too, when she talked to him before the game. The big numbers have been in place for almost a month. The years, the average per year, the total dollars in the deal, all that is locked in. The issue is that the Bengals don't want to guarantee anything beyond 2025. And at this point, they also have not done anything in terms of moving money around just to try to offset some of the guarantees that are lacking. We know Trey Hendrickson, he said it back in May when he showed up to an OTA. I want a multi-year commitment. The Bengals just have not been willing to do a multi-year commitment. So at this point, Trey Hendrickson continues to proceed as if ultimately he is going to be back with the Bengals, but I have no indication, one way or the other, but I have no indication at this point that Trey Hendrickson, after saying for months, I'm not playing on this existing deal, is simply going to cave and show up and be out there week one. So the same levers exist at that point for the Bengals. They already can be fining him for every single training camp practice that he misses. If eventually he refuses to return and play in a game, they can come at him with the full weight of taking away game checks and suspending him for conduct detrimental. We are not there yet. The relationship, despite some of the public comments, it's not in that place. That's why Trey Hendrickson is still out there wearing a Bengals logo on his shirt. He's not walking around in, non-team issue gear like we've seen Brandon Ayuk and some other players do in the past. So is this salvageable? Absolutely. But as we reported over the weekend, the Bengals have been listening to trade offers for Trey Hendrickson. In order to move him, it's going to have to be a good player, a real player, and a real draft pick. At this point, they turned down a second-round pick and change back before the draft. And at this point, that draft pick isn't even helping you in 2025 on a team that you believe, certainly on the offensive side, can be Super Bowl caliber, even if the defense did not provide a whole lot of reasons in that nationally televised game to make you believe they're going to be substantively better than they were in 2024. As for Terry McLaurin, he's still going through the ramp-up process. A lot of that's happening behind closed doors. The ankle, from what I'm told, is healed. He did have a real ankle injury. That was not a made-up thing. He had a real ankle injury back in January. He rehabbed it in the offseason. He's fine on that standpoint. But again, you have to do conditioning. You have to work your way back in to being ready to play. The fact that McLaurin has begun that ramp-up process would indicate he believes somewhere he's going to be playing in week one. He also has requested a trade. That's been sitting there for a couple of weeks. There have been teams that have called the Commanders, but the sense that people get when they've talked to Washington is we don't really want to do this, so the price is going to be really, really high. They're playing as if Terry McLaurin is going to be back on the field. Could they make one more run at this and make another offer? The sides have not been anywhere in the vicinity of each other. You look at where the wide receiver market has gone. There's a fair argument if you're Terry McLaurin, hey, even at my age, I'm in the same draft class as DK Metcalf. Why am I not getting $32, $33, $34 million per year? From the Commanders' standpoint, they're looking at a close to 30-year-old receiver. There's not a great long history of guys continuing to produce 1,000-yard seasons. But much like Trey Hendrickson, Terry McLaurin can go, I got 1,000 yards every year. I'm always going to have 80 catches and 1,000 yards and career-high touchdowns last year. Like, what indication do you get that I'm going to fall off? We'll see where that one goes. These next few days are going to be really important for Washington and Terry McLaurin to see if they've got a path forward here that gets him ready to play right out of the gate and isn't something that drags into the season and all of a sudden brings up all those other levers we've been talking about with all these hold-ins.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.